Alright, welcome back, guys. We have a lot to talk about. The Last of Us Part 2. It's finally here after a long time of waiting for the game, after so many delays and all the stuff that's been going on around and all the leaks and whatever, and we've all heard about that. However, I won't go too much into that. So yeah, a recap of what I said, of my spoiler-free quick thoughts on the game. Now let's talk about The Last of Us Part 2 with spoilers. Man, you can already tell where this is going by my expression. Okay, I thought the game was generally okay. I really enjoyed the game. The gameplay is superb. I loved it. I mean, it's everything you would expect from a sequel to The Last of Us. Everything from the first improved upon. The music was great. The sound engineering or whatever, it really sets you into the mood. It all takes place in Seattle in one location. This is spoilers now. I'm going to be talking about spoilers, so just to let you know before we proceed any further, unless you finish the game or you don't care, here we go. The game, for the most part, like 95% of the game, or yeah, 90% of the game takes place in Seattle. The other 5% is California, then the other 5 is like Jackson and like other places in the flashbacks sequences and all that. The story leaves a lot to be desired, man. They could have done so much better with the story. They did our boy Joel dirty, dude. Honestly, the only characters that I cared about at all were basically the Last of Us 1 crew, which is Joel. He appears also in some flashbacks, and Ellie, of course, and Tommy. Ellie for me was the only driving force, like pushing me to see this through until the end. Because like, dude, she's our girl, and Joel's our man. He's our boy, and they took him out, and now we're on a quest to get some payback for that. And then you reach the half point of the game, okay? And then the other half you play as Abby. And I did not care about that character, her story, her backstory at all. They could have handled that way better, in my opinion. Of course, I sympathize with the loss of her father, but that's pretty much it. I mean, we all do. Anybody can sympathize with a person losing their parents. But the way they went out about it, I feel they could have done much better than they did. So that was like a very big disappointment with the way they handled the death of Joel. It's like, I mean, the way he went out, man. I mean, we don't get to choose how we go out, but this is fantasy we're talking about. I mean, they could have handled it another way, but I digress. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't care about Dina. I didn't care about Jesse. Ellie's friends or whatever. I didn't care about anyone. I felt that I cared more about Maria than I did Dina. Maria was Tommy's wife, and she only appears for like a little bit, only because they're part of the old crew. And I feel them having revealed her as being pregnant, sort of like, I don't know, it just felt weird. I felt that they artificially kind of increased the stakes. I mean, it was only Ellie's quest for revenge, at first it was only her, like she wanted to go out there alone, then Dina wants to join her because I guess, I don't know, she cares about her. At this point, I don't know how long they've been together, I'm assuming not so much. But it was Ellie's quest for revenge, and then she tags along, and then she reveals she's pregnant. So now they can't be. Now they can't be selfish about it, right? They need to be careful. Because now there's also a third person with them, basically. You know, they can't be reckless. They gotta think about the child that Dina's carrying. I felt that it made more sense for Jesse joining in because he says that he looked up to Joel as a father, but then again you could also like argue that Dina was doing it for Ellie, but I don't know how long they've been together at that point. But yeah, Abby's part of the story, I didn't care about anyone, man. Not Yara or Lev or Mel, Owen, Manny. Dude, I laughed my ass off when Manny got his head blown off, like just boom, just like that out of the blue when Tommy did him. And I'm actually satisfied that Tommy was the one that got to him. I think the only two characters that I was okay with in Abby's group was Owen and Mel. Like they just seemed alright to me. They seemed okay. But the rest I didn't like. And I felt that they tried to give Abby some redeeming qualities, but it just didn't hit me. Especially like I don't know why. I guess she's trying to redeem herself by helping Yara and Levy, the two Asian kids, the Scars or Seraphites or whatever. And I can understand wanting to help them, but going above and beyond and out of your way and even betraying your own people, it's just like not realistic at all. Like I don't see that happening in the real world. But then again, this is fantasy, but still, even in fantasy, things gotta make sense, right? Probably the best parts of the game for me was the flashbacks, which is funny, right? The flashbacks were the best part for me because it had a lot to do with Joel and Ellie, basically, and Ellie remembering the times with Joel and eventually finding out the truth of what happened in the hospital and how that weighs on her and haunts her. Trying to think about what else, man. I mean, my thoughts on the game are like all over the place, you know? I felt that they tried too hard. Yeah, I mean, to make us sympathize with Abby and showing off their father, her father as a good guy. I'm not saying that he's a bad guy, and I think I think the game, the story especially, it revolves around what they call moral I forgot the word, man. Moral relativism or moral relativism. I'm sorry, I can't say it. It's here. This is the word that I'm trying to say, and it's basically like what one group, or not even a group, like what one person views, depending on the context, could be right or wrong, as opposed to another group or person. So you kind of like understand where each and every group is coming from. Like you understand all of their sides, but it's hard not to side with Ellie, especially if you've played the first game. The ending was shit. Like the ending was straight up shit. I didn't like the ending. The payoff there was no payoff. There were two instances where it just made me go, what the heck is going on? The first was when Abby basically had Dina and Ellie at her mercy towards the end of the game when they face off at the theater. She could have done them and then and there. Why she let them live is beyond me. I mean, they traveled halfway across the country. they took out all of your friends, none of your friends are left, they're all dead, and you think that they're not gonna come back for you sooner or later, eventually, which eventually that does happen. And then when Ellie has the golden opportunity to take her out, I mean, the purpose of all of this, the cataclysm of all of this, you know, why she went back to Seattle in the first place, and then took a boat all the way to California, and then she has the opportunity to take Abby out, and then she doesn't, which is like, like, she's like, fight me, you know, she's like, fight me. I thought, like, dude, Ellie, what are you, a samurai or something? You want an honorable battle, a fight to the death? Like, what? What? Doesn't make any sense to me, man. And then she ends up losing like 2 of her fingers. You know, Abby just cannibal style just rips them off her hand. I mean, there's a reason why I call these videos just my thoughts and I don't call them a review, because you can see right now, I mean, I don't want to put myself into a corner where I need to meet a certain criteria for a review and then force myself to do that. So it's easier for me to just speak this way. Yeah, I mean, look, all in all, I thought the game was all right. The gameplay was fantastic. I personally loved the game, but loved the gameplay. I loved the gameplay. The game as a whole is all right. It's good. The story, no, the story not so much. I mean, the whole other half of the game, Abby section, I was just like, it was just like whatever for me, you know. I just want to, let's just see it through, just see what happens. The music was great. It sucked me in. It gave, I don't know what that kind of music is called, but it's tension filled or tension fueled or whatever. So it was good. It really set the mood for me, and the graphics are amazing. Oh, dude, I didn't mention the violence in this game. It is, oh my god. If you thought the first one was violent, the second one, ugh, it's, I mean, for the most part, violence in video games doesn't really bother me, but this one, especially some of the mangled corpses, and then when you hear about how the developers had to watch videos that nobody should see, like they use that as references, so that's kind of disturbing. But yeah, the game is pretty violent. It no doubt about that. Would I say that the game is worth your time? I mean, it depends on you, really, because I mean, I'm speaking, I mean, as a person who finished the first game when it came back into 2013, and then I played it again on PS4. I bought the remaster, I played that again. I mean, I thought it was worth my time. I mean, I enjoyed it. Story not so much, but regardless, I did enjoy the game. Would I recommend that you get it? I would say that, I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter what I say or whatever, but at this point, I'm sure you've already made a decision. Either you've played it or you haven't, and you're just, you know, just looking at people's thoughts or like watching cutscenes of the game or whatever. So my advice would be, I mean, if you haven't made a decision up to this point, is maybe look at some reviews and stuff and come to a conclusion. But I mean, if you were able to get the opportunity to maybe check it out when it's like on sale or get it used, or maybe even if when the PlayStation Network eventually gives it as a free game, oh, definitely, for sure, check it out. But yeah, I'm sure there are many points I'm sure that I left out, but I'm just speaking from the off the top of my head. It's kind of, I mean, there's one other element which I find kind of disappointing, is that The previous game was like a journey through the United States, but this time it only takes place in Seattle, and the flashbacks mostly in Jacksonville, and the last part of the game is in California. I honestly wanted to see more of California. I thought that was great. But yeah, one more thing before we wrap this up. I think probably one of the only memorable segments of Abby's story that I really liked was when basically what we saw in the trailer, when they were in a dark place and she had like a noose around her neck and all that. That part I really liked. And the part where they go to the island and everything goes to shit and it's all burning around them and all that. I like that as well. So those were like my two favorite parts of Abby's story. Other than that, I just I didn't care about it. So yeah. That's pretty much it. I think I've said all I've wanted to say. And there are other elements that I really can't remember at the moment. But yeah, there were a lot of nice moments here and there, and a lot of bad ones too. So, with all that said, thank you so much for checking out the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you're not subscribed and you're interested in seeing more from us, please do that. And the whole playthrough is on, like, it's all set up there, the playlist, you can check it out if you want to see the whole story and all that. Well, yeah, thank you so much, guys. We'll see you all soon. Peace. Take care.